What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Echoes of Rebellion Datacron set that has just dropped with today's title update. We also got the information on the Focus Datacrons, but if you go and take a look at that, the stuff is kind of incomplete. It doesn't quite specify some of the information yet. Like if you look at it, it says whenever blank allies attack out of turn. So I can guess what this is going to be, but until they get like the full information in, I don't really focus on the Focus Datacrons. So we're just going to stick with the Echoes of Rebellion and also the Bespoke Datacron for Appo. Very fun changes here with these Datacrons, and we're going to dive down into it. You may see a returning character on here that's probably got your interest. We're gonna show that one. Yeah, certain Datacron is back, and boy, am I excited to finally get a use for him. So let's talk about the stats on this Datacron. Crit damage, potency, health, protection, crit chance, armor penetration, and tenacity. Armor penetration is probably going to be a high priority for most people. Being able to ignore armor is always welcome with the Datacron. That's fantastic. I love it. Let's start by focusing on Dark Side. Whenever Dark Side allies gain a buff, they recover 2% health and protection. Whenever they daze or stun an enemy, they recover 10% health and protection. Whenever Dark Side allies inflict a debuff on an enemy, they deal damage equal to that enemy equal to 2% of that enemy's max health. Whenever Dark Side allies use a special ability, they gain Evasion up, Health Steal up, and Health up for 2 turns. And whenever Dark Side allies start their turn with at least 3 debuffs that can be dispelled, they gain Tenacity up for 2 turns. So right off the bat, the one that caught my attention was inflicting daze or stun and then recover health and protection. I like that certainly for a Star Killer team. You have a lot of stun already on that team. Palpatine and Mara Jade do a lot of stun. Lord Vader can get some use out of this with daze. He can recover lots of health with that. Any team that's going to be able to place out a lot of daze with or a lot of like AoE stuns, this could be pretty good. Your Imperial Troopers with Piet also can apply daze, so that could be helpful too. Another one as well, inflicting debuffs on enemies. They deal damage each to that enemy equal to 2% of the enemy's max health. Again, another really good one. So if you don't have a team that does a lot of daze or stun, but inflicts debuffs, that's going to be pretty good. Your Sith Empire teams, your Malgus teams, Fallen Bastila, Darth Revan, both do AoE debuffs. That's really good. If you're using like HK-47 with the Sith Empire, that could work too. Traya, your Darth Scion teams can also do this too. This one I think is going to get a lot of use, a lot of mileage out of a lot of Dark Side teams. You're going to get some mileage out of that one. This stunning, I think, particularly for a Star Killer team, could be really, really good. So those are my 2 top options here. Special ability, gaining evasion up, health steal up, and health up. It seems okay, and then tenacity up if they have 3 debuffs that can be dispelled. I want something that I feel like I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of, and that one feels a lot more RNG dependent. Like I need to stack up debuffs on my characters to get the tenacity up. That one I'm not so much a fan of. And when they gain a buff, they recover 2% health protection. Seems okay, but you've already got a lot of teams out there with health and protection recovery already. Unless you're handing out a lot of buffs with a Dark Side team, I don't think you're getting a lot of mileage out of this one either. Moving on to Light Side. At the beginning of their turn, Light Side allies have 25% chance to dispel all debuffs on themselves. When Light Side allies start the battle with protection up 20% for 2 turns. The first time a Light Side tank ally is defeated, revive them with 100% health, reset their cooldowns, and they gain a bonus turn. Limit once per battle. At the start of the encounter, Light Side allies gain 15% in bonus max health and protection for each other Light Side ally. A bread and butter that I always love choosing. And then the other one, first time each Light Side ally is defeated, remaining Light Side allies gain 50% offense and 20 speed stacking for the rest of the encounter. So those bottom 2 options, those are 2 I always feel are pretty good options. Not a fan of a 25% chance to dispel debuffs and 20% protection up for 2 turns. That's not a lot. The Light Side tank ally could be interesting with Zalbar. You could get some mileage out of that with a Zalbar Omicron with Darth Revan. Could be useful there. But I feel like really max health and max protection for each other Light Side ally. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of that and the offense and speed for defeated allies. Like that's just... Yeah, that one. I feel like those 2 bottom options are just better. Let's move on. So let's talk about the dark side factions first. Sith mechanics. Whenever Sith allies are stunned, they gain 50% turn meter and recover 25% health and protection. Whenever a Sith ally falls below 100% health, they gain a bonus turn, limited to once per battle per character. At the end of each turn, Sith allies recover health and protection equal to 50% of the amount enemies recovered that turn. This recovery can trigger this effect on enemies. Whenever an enemy is defeated by a Sith ally, that enemy can't be revived. Whenever Sith allies critically hit an enemy during their turn, that ally gains 10% bonus stacking offense for 2 turns. So, whenever Sith allies are stunned, gain 50% turn meter, recover 25% health protection. Seems okay. The ones that really stand out to me are the recovery and health and protection, equal to 50% of what enemies recovered that turn. That one, especially on a defensive team, that can be really tricky. Throw that on like a Malgus team, and then suddenly you're using, like you've got your like your Jedi Master Luke teams that, you know, they get some protection recovery there. Well, now suddenly Sith Empire characters are recovering that. Like I just used Bad Batch to beat Relic 8 and 9 Sith Empire team tonight. They would be recovering a lot of health and protection with that because of this Datacron and the lead with Omega. So that one really stands out to me with Sith allies recovering health and protection. That could also make your potentially that could make your Traya teams a lot tankier too, because they're just recovering a lot of health and protection. That one feels pretty good. And really, you want to go for high banners. So if you're going for high banners, you're generally bringing in a team that recovers health protection. So if you're going against a Sith team with this Datacron, that can get really dicey. And also this stacking offense for critically hitting an enemy. Scion already, AoE on that. Sidious, which we're going to get to here in a second. Lots of AoEs with Sidious. That's a lot of stacking offense. Fantastic. Separatist. Separatist is like the one I'm the most lukewarm on with this one. Whenever Separatist allies use a special ability on their turn, they gain repose for 2 turns. First time each Separatist ally falls below 50% health, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn and gain health steal up for 2 turns. At the end of their turn, Separatist allies recover 50% protection if they inflicted at least 5 debuffs on that turn. Whenever a Separatist ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is blinded, inflict blind for 2 turns, which can't be resisted. At the end of their turn, Separatist allies gain defense penetration up and offense up for 1 turn. So, repose for 2 turns feels okay. Damage immunity for 1 turn, health steal for 2 turns when they fall below 50% health, okay. If they inflicted at least 5 debuffs, this one feels like if you're running a General Grievous team, which there's a General Grievous specific cron in this one can be really good. He's got AoEs. B2 has AoEs as well. Stap has AoEs. All 3 of those are going to recover a lot of protection with this. B1 can inflict AoEs as well with debuffs, but he doesn't have protection. That one doesn't really matter. But those 3 already, that could be really good. So if they start focusing down on Grievous, and then Grievous marks someone, and then you have to defeat that enemy, and then he resets cooldowns, he pops an AoE, and then he inflicts a bunch of debuffs on everybody. Well, now suddenly he's also healing protection back up. So this one can get really annoying on a Grievous team, I feel. The blind, again, that one always, that feels so niche. At the end of the turn, Separatist allies gain defense penetration up and offense up for 1 turn. Again, also feels niche. I do like this riposte with like, say, a Notion team, because they're assisting constantly, which means they can just bypass protection. They use a special ability, now they gave a riposte, now someone else calls them to assist, now they're ignoring protection. Though, when you get down to Poggle's the only Geonosian on here, and his cron runs, like, antithetical to this. So, this one's odd. This one, I don't feel like there's a lot of good options with this one. Outside of the inflicting 5 debuffs, nothing else really sticks out to me with this Separatist cron. Django as well. Django and Asajj as well. They have AoEs that inflict debuffs. Those 2 could also get some abilities with this. If you use Dooku right, you could possibly... Can you get 5 debuffs in 1 turn with Dooku? That one we have to run. I don't think you can, but maybe you could. And Dooku's got a special cron in here as well. So let's start by talking about Sith. Whenever Darth Sion critically hits an enemy, he gains 10% crit damage, defense penetration, on offense until the end of battle. This already ties into critically hit an enemy during their turn. That ally gains 10% stacking offense. Well, now you throw this in with Sion. He uses AoE, 5 crits. He gets that 50% bonus offense. Now he gets this 10% or 50% crit damage, defense penetration, and another 50% stacking offense on top of that. So this AoE with Scion, this looks really cool. I like this. Like a 3v3 Traya team with this Scion cron, I do not want to face that. That one scares me a little bit. Sith Assassin, when she gains stealth, she recovers 100% protection. If you're using her with Bane, this could be pretty good. If you're using her with, if you're using her with Traya, yeah, this one really sticks out with Bane because, you know, Bane with the rule of 2, he's constantly causing her to take damage. This causes her to stick around a little bit longer. So, you know, this one could be interesting with Bane. Dooku, you know, I've got to check. Is Dooku Separatist or... it's not going to show me now. But, you know, it's Dooku. So, let's see. How many Sith do we have? We have 1. We have Scion, Assassin, Sidious, Palpatine. This may be a Sith cron for... No, Talon. Yeah, so... Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, no, so Dooku is a Separatist one. Whew, that had me scared. That's like giving Commander Luke the unaligned Force user thing. Scared me for a second. I was like, man, if Dooku is a Sith cron, that is a waste. But no, it's a Separatist cron. Okay, so a little bit better there. Moving on, we just talked about Assassin. Sidious. The Sidious cron is back. Yeah, I mean, if you've used this one, you know. I've seen the videos of it. I get to finally use it because I got the Lightspeed bundle for Sith Eternal. Now I get to use this cron. I'm very excited to see this. He solos a lot of teams. This is an absolute insane cron. So if you have the chance to get this, get it. This is probably the best cron. Not probably. This is the best cron out of this whole set. Darth Talon, whenever she uses a basic ability, she gains protection up 50% for 2 turns and 50% turn meter. Whenever she damages an enemy using a special ability, inflict fear for 1 turn on the enemy, which can't be evaded or resisted. So this is I use her with Bane when I'm not using her in 5v5 with Traya. I use her in 3v3 with Bane because her passive gives buffs to Sith allies. This could be pretty good. She's gonna inflict some fear. She's gonna get protection up, which allows her to stick around with Bane a little bit longer. I like this one. This one could be pretty good. Emperor Palpatine, this one's going to be very good. When he stuns an enemy, he gains 10% crit damage, stacking at 200%, and 5 speed, stacking to 50% until the end of the encounter. He's going to stun a lot. Throw him in with a Star Killer team, AoE stuns, gets a lot of bonus turn meter. Yeah, this one's going to be quite good. So, a lot of speed on him. He's also going to get bonus turn meter through his leadership already. So, yeah, this Palpatine cron on a Star Killer team combined with Sith allies stunning. So yeah, so this is gonna be good for Dark Side, not Sith allies, Dark Side. Yeah, whenever Dark Side allies days are stun an enemy, recovering health and protection. So they're healing. Mara Jade, Star Killer, and Palpatine are constantly healing. This could be really tricky in 3v3. I like this. Moving on to Separatist, Admiral Trench. Start of Admiral Trench's turn to dispel all debuffs on them. Recover 5% health for each debuffs dispelled this way. We can pass. Dooku, this is the big one. Dooku has 30% crit chance and crit damage while he's inflicted with a debuff. When a Separatist ally uses a special ability on their turn, he assists and dispels all buffs on the target enemy. He inflicts disarm on himself, which means he is always going to have this crit chance and crit damage. Whenever he takes damage during his turn, he reflects it at 200%, which cannot defeat them, but boy, this guy is gonna be tricky to take out because you do damage to him, you're taking that damage back at double the value. He's gonna counter, which also means he's gonna get crit chance and crit damage. He can also give himself riposte, and if you run the Separatist cron with riposte, you can do even more damage with that. This one could be pretty good. Also, with Darkseid here, if he stuns or dazes an enemy, he can stun with his basic. So if he counters and stuns, he's recovering health and protection again. So recovering health protection with stunning while you run the Separatist with the with protection, if they reflect at least 5 debuffs, could be good. or gain defense penetration off and offense up for 1 turn. Like, yeah, Dooku could be a monster on a Separatist team here. General Grievous, whenever an ally uses an ability on their turn, he assists, dealing 50% more damage. That's big. That is very big, especially as the battle goes on. His damage scales nicely. Yeah, he's going to do some damage as you go on. Newt Gunray, he gains 15% turn meter while other allies use a special ability. So just like C-3PO, solid choice. If you're running a Separatist team without Dooku on there, this could be pretty good. I like this one. Wat Tambor, he reflects 20% damage back at the enemy as true damage, which can't be evaded and can't defeat enemies. Feels okay. And then finally, Poggle Lesser. We talked about the riposte with Geonosians. When Poggle assists, he inflicts protection disruption. So this one feels a little weird because I can't quite. Nothing really sticks out for Geonosians. The offense up and defense penetration could be good. The riposte could be pretty good, but I feel like I'm already getting enough without having to focus on this Poggle cron for Geonosians. I wouldn't necessarily pursue this one for Geonosians. Yeah, this one I'm not really big on. Let's move on to Rebel Fighter. So whenever a Rebel Fighter ally defeats an enemy, they take a bonus turn. When a Rebel Fighter ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy during their turn, they deal bonus damage equal to 10% of the enemy's max health, which can't be evaded. When a Rebel Fighter allies are revived, they recover 25% health, 25% protection, 25% turn meter, and reduce their cooldowns by 1. When a Rebel Fighter allies grant a buff to another ally, that ally gains 10% bonus turn meter, limit once per turn. We're going to get to that one here in a second. And whenever Rebel Fighter allies attack out turn, they have 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from that target. So this bottom one, we already have that with Rebels. This one's a little more niche. That one feels okay with Rebels. This one, there's better options. Let's just go ahead and get to them. So Rebel Fighter allies inflict a debuff on an enemy during their turn. They deal bonus damage. That's huge for Saw Gerrera. We're going to get to Cron here in a minute. This is big. He's going to reset cooldowns. He's going to do a lot of AoE debuffs. This is good. This is very, very good. Rebel Fighter allies grant a buff to another ally. That ally gains 10% turn meter. That is built. 2 teams come to mind right away for that. Chase with Adrad and Mon Mothma with Pow. Pow yells. He gains offense up to the whole team. They gain 20% or 10% turn meter. He gains 40% as well. They assist. They give him more turn meter. He moves quite often, which means he's yelling a lot, which means a lot of offense up, which means a lot of bonus turn meter. This is going to turn Pow into a turn meter engine for the team and not just for himself. So this with a Mon Mothma, Luthen Rail Pow team, you can already use it to defeat a handful of Galactic Legends. You can beat Rey. You can beat Jedi Master Luke. This is going to be very good. Yeah, this one has me low-key excited. I cannot wait to try this with a Mon Mothma team. This is going to be very good. Also, with Chase, with Chirrut and Baze, whenever an ally is critically hit while Chirrut is active, he gives them a stack of heal over time. Now they get 10% turn meter on top of that as well. So this is big. This is very big. Now, granted, it's only once per turn, so if they get hit multiple times, multiple hots, that's only one set of 10% turn meter. But still, that's pretty big. They get a stack of heal over time, they get healed, and they get 10% turn meter. Like, come on. That's really, really good. I like that. I think those are going to be the best 2 options. 10% turn meter for buffs, and inflicting debuffs, dealing max health damage. Those are going to be the best 2 options for that. So let's talk about the specific Rebel Fighter crons we have here. Saw Gerrera, whenever another ally is defeated, Saw Gerrera takes a bonus turn and their cooldowns are reset. That is going to go great with Luthen Rail with the Axis modifier. You have the Rebel summon that's constantly dying and coming back and getting marked and everything. Every time that dies, well, he gets a bonus turn. You add this in with the AoE and inflicting max health damage. Resets his cooldowns. He gets to inflict an AoE blind. He has the explosive traps he throws out. That's a big one. Yeah, so this one feels really good for a Saw Gerrera team. This is the one I'm going to really choose. Mon Mothma, whenever she uses a basic ability on her turn, other allies gain 25% turn meter. You're not going to use her basic ability until at least 3 turns in. She's got better options. She's got the health equalization. She's got the summon of the trooper. This one you're not going to use very often. So this one, yeah, I'm probably going to pass on Luthen Rail. He has 5% bonus max health protection per relic amplifier level. Damage they receive is decreased by 15%. Okay. Let's see where else. We got Cassian Andor. Whenever Cassian Andor inflicts a debuff, recovers 25% of his max health and protection. Once per turn, he's got the AoE grenade ability. His basic can also inflict buff immunity, and his other special can stack debuffs onto one target. So you're getting a lot of max health and protection. This works pretty well inside of an AdRad team. And then finally, we have everybody's favorite character, Bodhi Rook. So Bodhi Rook, the first time I looked at this, I was like, oh, you can use this in like a Mon Mothma team. This is gonna be great. Do you know how many times I have forgotten that Mon Mothma is not a rebel fighter? There's been so many times I've gone to my rebel fighter tab and I'm like, where's Mon Mothma? Why don't I want to see Mon Mothma? She's a rebel. She's not a rebel fighter. This is only going to work under a rebel fighter lead. So if this worked in a Mon Mothma team, it would be so good. But it doesn't. It has to have a rebel fighter lead. So this only works inside of a Saw Gerrera team. Are you going to use this over a Saw Gerrera cron? I don't know. If the ally leader is rebel fighter, whenever rebel fighter ally gains, loses turn meter, or takes a bonus turn, they recover that much health and protection. Whenever an enemy loses turn meter, they take 10% of their max health as true damage. Whenever Bodhi Rook uses his basic ability, the target enemy loses 30% turn meter, which can't be resisted. If Bodhi Rook is defeated while another rebel fighter ally is active, he revives with 50% health and takes a bonus turn. So the way I see this is this bottom part does not require a rebel fighter lead. So you can get this with like an AdRad team or Mon Mothma, but why would you at that point? This ties in really nicely with Section 2 of Rebel Fighter. Whenever attack out turn, they have a 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from the target. If you can use this with like a Chirrut Baze, like a Chase, or a Wiggs with Saw Gerrera, this could be pretty good with Bodhi Rook thrown in there. You get a lot of assists. Yeah, this could be good. This could be good because that's a lot of potential for some bonus true damage dealt with it. But this is like shoehorned into a Saw Gerrera team. It's like right there. It's on the cusp of being like hands down a fantastic cron, but I'm just not really feeling it here. Who else do we have? We got Luthen Rail. We got Cassian. Really, the only one that sticks out to me is Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera feels really good. Mon Mothma, like, if you got a Mon Mothma team, might as well, because nothing else really sticks out. But do I really want to invest this much on a Mon Mothma cron when level 6 with Rebel allies getting those turn meter is going to be plenty for me? I don't think so. Really, feels like there could have been some better options with Rebel fighters, but if you got a Saw Gerrera team, you've probably got a really good option right here in this cron. And if you really want to try Bodhi Rook with Saw Gerrera somehow, this could work really, really well. This could work really well too. Moving on to Bad Batch. This one, if you don't have the new Bad Batch, this is one you're probably going to skip out on. It's not that good for the OG Bad Batch. You can get some use out of it, but 4 out of 5 of the specific crons are for the new Bad Batch, and the only one you have left is Omega, and it doesn't feel that good. Maybe there's an interaction there I'm not thinking of, but it just doesn't feel like it really works with her. So let's start from the top. And really, okay, disclaimer, the only one you're going to want to go for on Bad Batch here, especially if you run the new team, is going to be the first one, because this is just way too good. Bad Batch ally can ignore taunt to a targeted enemy that was damaged previously by a Bad Batch ally on their turn. Whenever an ally is defeated, dispel stealth from the strongest ally. They gain 200% defense for 2 turns and recover 100% health and protection. So this is tailor-made for the new Bad Batch team. The marks can constantly get dispelled, and if you get stuck behind a taunt and the mark gets dispelled, well, now you're kind of stuck. You got to reset your stacks with target practice. This now allows you to focus down that target who's got target practice on them. This will not work for stealth, so if someone goes into stealth, you still can't target them. Batcher can ignore stealth, but that's not going to do much in the long run unless you use her howl to dispel the stealth. So you got to time it. You got to time it pretty well with her yell there if someone's in stealth. But the second part too, if Wrecker Mercenary dies, well, now someone else on that team now gets stealth, or now gets out of stealth, and they gain a lot of bonus defense, and they get fully healed. So that's pretty big. That's really, really big. That one, if you're running the new Bad Batch, that's the modifier you want. This is the only one you want. Other ones are solid too. Whenever they recover health, recover protection equal to that amount of health recovered. Can't recover protection this way more than once per turn, or if the health is full. You get a little bit of synergy with the new Omega lead, where allies under stealth, Bad Batch allies under stealth gain health and protection each turn. You can double that protection recovery, but it's not as good as that top one. This could be really good for your OG Bad Batch. That protection recovery is going to be very, very good. This one, I think if you're running OG Bad Batch, you want that second modifier. Whenever a Bad Batch ally is critically hit, they gain 100% crit avoidance and crit chance for 2 turns. Whenever a Bad Batch ally starts their turn with at least 2 debuffs that can be dispelled, they have 65% chance to dispel debuffs on themselves. I don't like the RNG chance to dispel debuffs. And then the first time each Bad Batch ally falls below 50% health, all Bad Batch allies reduce their cooldowns by 1 and gain 10% turn meter. Yeah. Yeah, really, I like those top 2 modifiers. I'm not going to worry about the other 3. The other 3 are just far weaker compared to those top 2. Alright, let's start with the specific crons here. Wrecker Mercenary. Whenever he loses taunt, remove 50% turn meter from all enemies. You can skip this one. He only gets 1 way to gain taunt. It doesn't stick around very often. Also, the rest of the team is in stealth. So, yeah, this one, yeah. If this was on the OG Bad Batch team, I could probably see use for it. This one on the new team just doesn't really work. Let's move on to Crosshair Scarred. This is going to be the best one if you have the new Bad Batch team. He doubles the amounts of stacks shaken that he loses, so if he uses special on himself, he loses 12 stacks instead of 6, which is huge. Each stack of target practice removes 2 stacks. So he is going to be able to use his snipe ability very quickly inside of battle. While he doesn't score a critical hit, he inflicts buff immunity on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. That's big. He's going to miss quite often, very early on. So not only is he going to inflict exposed, which can't be resisted, now he inflicts a buff immunity, which can't be resisted or evaded either. Also, if someone has crit immunity on them, well, he's going to assist, and he's going to, inflict buff immunity. When he deals damage to an enemy, the weakest ally without stealth recovers 10% health protection. This is huge. His Omicron and Grand Arena causes him to assist quite often. This is primarily a Grand Arena team already. So if you use this, even in 3v3, this could be really, really good. But in a 5v5 team, Wrecker is constantly taking damage. And this one, we gotta go back to Bad Batch. There's one thing I have to point out with Bad Batch I forgot to flag earlier. With Wrecker, he's out of stealth. Crosshair assists, he deals damage. Wrecker heals back up. This is big. This is very, very big for your new Bad Batch team. Like, this is just it. Usually your wordiest mechanics are the best ones. Hands down, this is the best one out of them. So, before I go any further, I want to point out Bad Batch. One that is actively bad for the new team is this middle modifier. Whenever Bad Batch allies critically hit, they gain 100% crit avoidance and crit chance for 2 turns. Your Bad Batch allies in stealth already with the new team can't be critically hit. And Wrecker, you do not want him to get... You want him to be critically hit because that builds up his stacks of Soldier of Fortune. He's going to lose them over time because he gets debuffed. And that Soldiers of Fortune is what gives him that stacking offense and tenacity. So, if you give him crit avoidance up, yeah, like, you're actively hurting Wrecker. And you want him to gain that stacking defense. This is one, like, yeah, you just have to get it. I can't really think of a way this would be good for the new Bad Batch. This is, if you get the new Bad Batch, do not do what you can to get off of this modifier if you roll it. Moving back on to your Bad Batch Batcher. She's immune to daze and stun. Whenever she damages an enemy, she removes 15% turn meter from them and gains that much turn meter. If there are no Galactic Legends, enemies can't gain bonus turn meter. I wish this was not a Galactic Legend modifier. We already have enough of that with Bad Batch. They can beat some Galactic Legends already, like your non-Ezra Ray teams, your non-Ray First Order teams. Lord Vader they can beat for now. They can beat Jabba. They're up there in terms of power of a non-legendary Grand Arena team. Like, they're incredibly good for being 5 marquee characters. But this one, if this wasn't here, this would probably be broken. That's why they probably have it here. But finally, this last part, this is a more powerful, unique ability. She already has this when a Bad Batch ally is inflicted with captive. She reduces her cooldowns by 1. She gains 50% turn meter. She doesn't dispel debuffs. So this is a bit of a stronger unique. So this is okay. But being immune to daze and stun is pretty good too. So this could be good if you don't get crosshairs, cron. This could be good. I like this. I think this is the next best option for a 5v5 Bad Batch team. With Omega Fugitive, this one could be broken in certain ways. If you are running a 3v3 Bad Batch team, which, side note, they are not very good in 3v3 as it is right now. We're still trying to find a good composition, and it just doesn't work. Because, yeah, you just need the full team, especially with Crosshair. But if you manipulate your mods in such a way in that you don't bring Wrecker on the team, but you have Omega Fugitive lead, and you have her be the healthiest character on your team, this could potentially be broken. In that her lead stealth Bad Batch allies gain health protection each turn. Which means whenever they recover protection, she gains foresight. So if they're recovering protection each turn, she's getting foresight each turn. So this could potentially, this could be very good. This is one that could be fun testing out. Obviously, I'm going to go for Crosshair first, but as a secondary one for 3v3, I do want to try this out. Because this feels like it could be broken, and we'll see how it pans out. But then finally, Omega, whenever she gains stealth, she also reduces the cooldowns of her special abilities by 1. So, this is the only Bad Batch, original Bad Batch cron here. The old Bad Batch feels like they kind of got the shaft on this one. I hate to say that. That's what it feels like. Doesn't feel great. This is more like rewarding your whales who wailed on the new Bad Batch team. And really, I feel like if this had come out in the next iteration, I'd feel better about it. But right now, most players just don't have Bad Batch built up. So a lot of players are not going to get usefulness out of this. This cron's really good, don't get me wrong. Like that Crosshair Bad Batch cron, you get the Crosshair with the with causing him to, with ignoring taunt, and then they also get bonus max health and protection. Yeah, man, that's really good. That is like really good. That's a really good cron for Bad Batch. I feel like this should have come out another 2 months in the next iteration. Let's finally go over the Bespoke Datacron for Appo. This one's going to be interesting. I'm going to be curious to see how this pans out. I'm not going to get any use out of it because I don't have Lord Vader. But let's start at the beginning. It's not going to show here. Okay, so... yeah, okay. So we already have the dark side mechanics here. You're going to use this with the Lord Vader team most likely, so Daze could be really helpful here. Protection up, But I feel like this Daze and stun, like you're going to use like Piet and Lord Vader with this. Nice health, protection, recovery. Obviously not protection because they just have health. But yeah, some nice health recovery for them. Whenever a debuff on an enemy expires, Empire allies gain 2% bonus tenacity and potency. Stack it until the end of battle. Yeah. If you run a heavy debuff team, this could be pretty good. But here we go, Appo. He gets Vader's Fist if you're not, he's basically gonna get Vader's Fist. So you're gonna get an early preview of Vader's Fist with the team. Whenever an enemy dispels any amount of damage over time, he gains a stack of Operation Nightfall for each enemy that has a stack of damage over time dispelled. And you place Order 66 on a random enemy that has a stack of damage over time dispelled for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. At the start of each Darkside Clone Trooper's turn, all allies gain 10% bonus, or 10% defense penetration stacking, and offense stacking for 1 turn for each stack of Operation Nightfall on CC 1119 Appo. So, so looking at this off the top of my head, if this behaves like how I read it, this will all work outside of a Lord Vader team. This bottom paragraph will all work outside. It's the same thing with Hunter's Bespoke Cron. I can pull that cron up. There's a common misnomer that Datacron for Hunter only works for, like, the whole thing only works for mercenaries. This it's just his first sentence. Marked enemies deal 50% less damage. The rest of this works without a full mercenary team. So whenever he inflicts mark on enemy, dispel and inflict mark on them for 2 to 3 turns, which can't be dispelled or evaded or resisted. He's done that all the time in Bad Batch. So the way I read this cron is that Appo, that bottom paragraph for Appo, is going to work all the time, even outside of a Lord Vader team. So this, if you get Appo, you could throw him in on like a something with Lord Vader, or not Lord Vader, Darth Vader. Yeah, you don't want to do Wampa because Wampa needs to be alone. Sidious has to be alone. So you could get something here with, yeah, something with like a Darth Vader team could be useful here. I'm trying to think who else does damage over time this would be helpful for. You can't use Tuskens. So really, this is one I'm gonna pass on for me because I don't have Lord Vader, and I just don't feel like this is one that I'm gonna get a lot of use for right now. So if you have Lord Vader and you want to go for Appo, you want to wail on Appo, this could be pretty good. Does damage over time to Lord Vader. The Vader Fist ability is great. The Order 66 on random targets is disgusting, because that means that they can't gain buffs. Bonus stacking defense penetration offense. This is not great Mother's levels broken, but this is going to be a solid cron nonetheless. So that's going to wrap it up for me here. What do you guys think about this Datacron set? Is there anything that catches your eye outside of the Sidious cron? I know people are excited to see that Sidious cron back. Let me know what you guys think down below. As always, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys next time.